I am. Hey, Julie, how's it going?
I'm well, thanks. And you? I know it's the plight of the oldest child, never ends.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a much more diligent worker, and I kind of do the fun, cool stuff, like talk to people like you. So when he said, "Oh, can you come fill in for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, you go ahead and handle that crisis, and I'll go do the fun stuff." And no more fun interview than the woman from Party City herself.
Woo,
And I love your background, by the way. That is so cool.
that's
Amazing.
right.
Where are you based?
Well, the company's headquartered in northern Jersey, but I live in Connecticut, not too far.
Okay, very cool. All right, well, let's hop into these questions. So, obviously, it's been a vastly different situation for everyone over the past year, especially the events industry, which my wife is actually a big time event planner here in LA. So, I see it firsthand, being one of the hardest hit by the pandemic. How different does this first part of the year look for you versus this time last year?
Uh, I mean, as I like to say, it's there's a lot of pent up party. And so where I think this time last year it was a lot of shock and awe. So, and now it's pent up party. And they're talking about the roaring 20s all over again, which of
Yeah.
course is true, I think.
Hmm.
In that people are just ready to let loose. We're seeing it everywhere, the travel industry, airlines, hotel, car rental,
Hmm.
so luckily I think that it's, we're very optimistic about the celebrations industry, that people are ready to celebrate, and they, I think, now have a greater appreciation for the importance of celebrating even everyday occasions because of our inability to do so. And I think we've just all gained that appreciation. And there's also a lot of do-overs.
Hmm.
We're seeing people who either they held off on getting married, or they kind of did a mini ceremony and now they're going to do the big party. Or it was like a birthday, a significant birthday. I had a big birthday. I don't,
Hmm.
um, we'll see about the
You turned
redo.
30 this year, huh?
Yeah, right.
Happy 30th.
Yeah. So, but now it's like, we'll just do a plus one. It'll be the plus one birthday. And so, but it'll all be bigger, I think, because we all appreciate the fact that we couldn't do it. So, I think this year, it's also taught us as a company a great deal about what's important for the customer. So
Hmm.
we were able to, I always say, like, we leaned in and we chose to thrive, and instead of simply survive a pandemic. And clearly party and pandemic were not synonymous.
Yeah.
But we chose to do things like launch same day delivery and launch curbside, which you would say, well, of course you have to, because
Mhm.
but it's not an easy thing. And when you're trying to cut back on things and be really frugal,
Mhm.
those are things that it's not just about setting up the service in a store. It's about all the tech development that has to go into it, and the lift that you have to have in terms of training. And so, for us, it was not an insignificant decision, but
Mhm.
one that was clearly the right one. And then
Mhm.
we did some other, kind of fun things in terms of our product dev, because most people don't realize. I'm not sure, Chris, because you and I haven't spent time talking, but
Mhm.
at Party City, so we do, obviously we have the retail stores, which
Mhm.
I hope you're familiar with, but we also
Absolutely.
are
My wife would
we
kill
make
me if I wanted.
that's good on her. But we also manufacture and wholesale. So we're
Mhm.
the largest manufacturer of the foil, the Mylar balloons.
Yeah.
And we're also a wholesaler. So most places where you go and buy balloons or party goods, it's
Mhm.
probably 40 to 60%, depending on where you are,
Mhm.
is product that we've manufactured. So
Mhm.
when you look at the whole ecosystem, obviously it all was fairly tight, but one of the benefits, I think, of having sort of this vertically integrated model is that we were able to be more innovative in terms of
Mhm.
the product and the packaging and the offering and the kits. So we all know that, like, the drive-by birthdays, the
Mhm.
graduate, like, I had a son who graduated high school in 2020. So we did the
Mhm.
big parade, the grad parade, and like the car kits. So we created car kits to make it easy for people to do grad
Mhm.
parades and birthday parades. We created, do you have kids, Chris? See, we have a,
Not yet, unfortunately, but soon
okay.
enough.
You you will appreciate the fact once or you friends who have them, is that during summer, if there's not summer camps, day camps, whatever, sleepaway camps, and you've got a full-time job and now you've got kids and you're not allowed to be near other kids and there's no place to take them because those are all closed. It was like stress upon stress upon stress last summer. So we created, using influencers, we created the Boy Squad, and we created these summer camp itineraries with like, here's all the things that you can do. And then here's the checklist. So you just buy this checklist and then here's all the activities. And it's like a week's worth of activities that you could basically put on your own camp. And now you didn't have to think through what to do. You had all of that and the stuff right there. So some of the things that I think that where we were able to lean into some of what makes us unique, it was that kind of thing, was trying to help solve problems while making joy easy.
Love it. Well, I bet you were constantly being sent messages from parents saying, thank you for saving our lives.
Well, we did get, part of the other thing that we set up a larger social presence than we had ever had, part of with the influencers, but also just with customers. And we work with Pinterest, and we work with Google, and we Instagram and all, so we definitely were trying to encourage people to talk about what was working and not working, not only because of course it's, I think, a smart marketing thing to do, but it also gave us some great insight and intel so that we could then learn to be like, oh, like it was good, but if it just had this, or like, oh, that part of it just didn't like fly as well as we thought it would, or what, you know what I mean? And so it was that kind of feedback, and that social posting is really important for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah, we're really all students to this new world. And I mean, every industry, everyone's looking to refine their craft. So I'm sure you guys were no exception to that.
No, absolutely not.
Well, we kind of touched on this already, but let's go a little bit deeper. So Party City has 900 plus locations. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. Please explain the challenges that the pandemic brought about and what you and your team did to overcome them.
Yeah, we were very brick and mortar centric. We hadn't, anybody who had been to our site would attest to the fact that we hadn't invested in the digital experience. I mean, we certainly had an e-commerce site, but we maybe didn't invest in the experience of the site. And so you could always come and buy what you wanted to buy. So I'm not saying that, but we had made with us, we have the entire executive team, let me just back up a little, is really new. So I've been here, I started 3 months before the pandemic. So it's always a good way to start. But our CEO started like 3 months before me. And then the chief merchant, the chief commercial officer, the CFO, the CIO, everybody kind of brand spanking new, all coming in right in either like at the beginning of the pandemic or somewhere like right before it started. And the whole team, our new mantra, of course, making joy easy, was also about going from being just the provider of the party product to the provider of the whole party experience. And so with that slightly different lens, that customer first experience focused lens kind of gets to then like, what did we do during the pandemic to try to still make that real? Is that we wanted to lean into the whole experiential component. And so this was, we had some new next generation stores that we had started to launch, and we wanted to continue to, maybe we weren't launching as many, but we still launched some, and we want to really use them as incubators to really test what kind of experience in the stores. And then to my point about the digital experience, we'd had a site and it was really set up to do the first, which was like buy all the celebration products you need. And it did that great. But we were making a shift to now be able to have a party experience, and that let us help you to deliver on that. And so the site wasn't really set up to do that, because that's a very different kind of experience. So what we've been trying to do, it'll be over the next 12 months, it'll be more and more, you'll continue to see more of this, but is really to try to be able to bring people in and see the entire, like be inspired to see like the entire setting of a grad room or a birthday room or whatever, like the event, Easter, whatever the event is, at the moment. And then be able to sort of buy that look or to be able to see, because a lot of people, when they think about putting on a party, or they're thinking about, any, like a dinner event, like even if it's not a formal party, it's like, I'm just gonna have
Mhm,
people for dinner. Can I do something that kind of makes it feel or look more special?
mhm,
It's like, people are sometimes like paralyzed, like, I don't know, like I can cook the meal, but I don't.
mhm,
And so what we want to do is make that easy. And so how do we
mhm,
help to present images and be like, here's a simple checklist. So again, that is a little of the shift that we made. And then you couple that with what we already talked about with, the services that we offer. We
mhm.
brought in party planning. So we brought in experts who are probably like your wife, who
Yeah.
are event experts and party planning experts. And
Mhm,
we set them up in a virtual forum where they could virtually
mhm,
either like this, like on screen, or they could text, and you
mhm.
could get advice. Like, I need to do this. This is my
Wow.
wants this. And so we would help them, like, okay, how many people, and well, do they like this? And then we would help package it together. So again, trying to kind of come into being able to be more of an expert to help people go in
Mhm,
and get what they need, versus spending time. Not everybody likes to spend time browsing. Some people just are like, I just need
mhm,
this. I need it to look good. I don't know what to do. Can you tell me what to do and give me that list? And here's my budget and here's the number of people. And so that's what we're on a quest to
mhm.
do. And we're doing now through the party planning team and through the services online and through some of these kits and packages where we're making it a one-stop shop. But we've got more work to do. And so that's kind of the exciting development part that's yet to come.
Nice. It seems like parties are kind of changed. I guess almost everything you can say this about, but parties are sort of forever changed by this event, and you kind of have this new model of how to do parties. In case you know there are certain places in the world that don't. I mean, I think we're on a progress track that hopefully we come back soon. But in the case that you don't, now you have like a strong strategy that can kind of push you forward, right?
Yep, absolutely. And again, I think what's nice about the strategy is that it's ever evolving, because
Hmm.
you can continue to serve people in multiple ways, because everybody is looking to achieve their celebration in some different way. Some people love, like probably like your wife, love all the details, like wants to go
Hmm.
hog wild, loves all the, and some people are like, oh my God, I hate this kind of thing, but I gotta do it. My kid's gonna kill me if I don't. And so they just
Hmm.
want somebody to help them serve it up so they can look like a hero without actually having to spend a ton of time.
Yeah. No, no. It definitely doesn't come to everybody. Like the ability to plan a party is not like second nature to so many people. So I
Oh,
think that you need that packaging. I mean, we package at McDonald's, it comes in a package. So if that's difficult, you can only imagine planning a full
right.
scale party,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Totally. Exactly.
Well, I found something fun on your LinkedIn profile. You'd mentioned that you're charged with designing and improving the customer experience at Party City. What does this mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it means that kind of the buck stops here if you have a bad experience. So, um, that's the stores, that's online, and that's where it's more than just the way that I, take it on, is that it's more than simply like you when you come into a store. It's more than just being pleasantly greeted and offered
Mhm,
assistance. It's about trying to get beyond and trying to get to what we were just talking about, which is like, what is really the problem that we're looking to solve?
mhm,
What is the pain point? And so we do a ton of customer journey mapping
mhm,
of all the different customer journeys that people can take, whether
mhm,
it's partially digital, all digital, no digital, that it's all brick and mortar, and that starts even before they even think about a party city. It's like way early on, like, oh wait, my kid's birthday's coming up. Oh, like, I think I should have a dinner party. Like, I was thinking the other day, I was like, oh, I love the Kentucky Derby. We should do
mhm,
a Derby party on May 1st. Okay. I should think about that. What should I do? So I went on the site and I
mhm,
started. So, but some people don't go to I go to our site to start to the inspiration, but some people might
mhm,
go to Pinterest to get inspired, or
mhm,
they might be on Pinterest and see something and then simply be inspired just because that's where they were. And so my job as the kind of the chief experience officer, I think the chief marketing officer is probably more, you know, most people kind of get that because that's been
yeah,
around a long time. But the
yeah,
experience officer, is like, how do I help get way early before they even think about us, and how do we help to make that experience enjoyable the whole way through? Because let's face it, If you
Mhm.
were to look at the emotional scale of that journey, not just we look at it very quantitatively, like what are the
Mhm.
steps? Where do people fall off? Where do they like go here versus go there? So we look at it very
Mhm.
quantitatively. But if you were to look at it on a pure emotional scale of like,
Mhm.
oh, like there's a part that's exciting. Like they see pictures of things like that's cool. I want it. That's great. And then it's
Mhm.
like, well, now I got to start to like, let me put some things on a list of things I'd like to do. And then it's like, that can be kind of fun. And then it's like, well, now I got to start to like plan it, like who and when, and like, what
Mhm.
about like if it rains or what if, and then suddenly it's like stressful, right? And then
Yeah.
it goes into this valley of death, right? Of like
Yes.
you're talking about a party, but it's like the worst. You're like, oh my God, like what if it
Yeah,
falls
no.
apart? What do I do if somebody doesn't like somebody's a vegan and I'm offering
Mhm.
like kielbasa or like, I mean, like so you got all these things, right?
Yeah.
Kid's got a nut allergy and then there's like a nut in this cookie and oh my God. So you go through these things
Mhm.
and then it's like then the celebration and it's like oh and then like oh I get to take pictures of it and share it with people and look what a rock star I am and like yay. But then I got to clean up and then it's like like so when
Yeah.
you do
It is
that
peaks and valleys, truly.
right, my goal is to make that whole thing
Mhm.
happy. Like, I don't want those valleys. I want them
Mhm.
all up here all the time. How do you
Yeah.
like, and that's a big, so as an experience, that's the
Mhm.
deal. And it doesn't matter
Mhm.
where they are, how do I do that? How can I help to do that? And again, I say
Mhm.
because it's me doing it.
The royal
I
eye,
hire only
yes.
the smartest people. Like I could go away and this thing would go because I hire the best people. They are the brilliant ones behind me and they're
Mhm.
making all this stuff happen. But that's our
Mhm.
quest. This is what gets us up is how do we think through all those phases and make that the ultimate positive all the way through.
Gotcha. Fun little side question for you. Are you a natural born party planner? And the reason I ask is because the amount of pressure that must be upon you when you plan a party has got to be epic.
I know I feel it. No, I'm not a natural born party planner. No, I like we enjoy having people over. I love the cooking and the cocktail and the mixology and like the cute napkins. I was never one of those with like the most beautiful, like I'm not Martha Stewart.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
never one of those like the most amazing table that people are going to take pictures of. That wasn't,
Mhm.
look, I was born in Wisconsin. I was more of like the
Mhm.
keg in the back, the plated
Mhm.
cheese, sausage, all
Yeah, I was
good,
gonna say that's why you said kielbasa earlier.
right? Like all good. This is where I was born. Like cornhole and
Yep.
horseshoes. Like that's for me, that was the party, right?
Yep.
So I've really upped my game. Now there's balloons everywhere. I
Mhm.
send balloons. I have like that. Yes. So I
Yeah.
have upped my game. There's no doubt. But I
Mhm.
also feel I put the pressure on myself to your point. I also feel the pressure of like when things are reopening here and like small
Mhm.
businesses in town and I know them, I feel the pressure of
Mhm.
like, I need to send them balloons. Somebody has a significant, I need to send them balloons because I can have them
Yeah.
delivered and it's such a wow, and but I feel like it's my duty because it's kind of expected, but I feel like it's my job to create joy for everybody around me, not just the customers
Indeed.
in Party City.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know from my wife especially, balloons and flowers are a must at everything. She threw me an epic 40th birthday party. And I'm like, babe, I don't need flowers. We don't need to spend thousands of dollars on flowers. She's like, oh, but we do.
Oh, but this is where you're wrong. Although I will tell you, I think balloons last longer. It's
That's
just
very true. And you guys don't sell flowers, so forget about it.
we don't, but we do sell balloons, and we are testing alcohol in some of our stores. So we're
Is
now
that
like,
right?
yeah, selling, yeah. So see, we are trying to get to that one easy, right? Because what I
You
don't want
know
to
that
have to stop and like pick up your alcohol and your snacks. So we're testing snacks and alcohol in some of our
that's so
shops. Yeah.
smart. I mean, that's sort of like fundamental to party, you know? And if
Yeah.
you're gonna make
So
joy
then
easy, what
water.
way to make it easier?
Yeah, that's right. How do you make it easier? That's exactly right.
What have been the key marketing channels for Party City historically? I know you're sort of on the newer side, and how has this changed moving into 2021?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can talk you through like I have moved us. We did more. Look, we were always doing some, what we would call the digital search,
Mhm.
email for sure. There was some TV, radio. I don't think there was a lot of print. Again, I'm going before because I came in December of 19. So but last
Mhm.
year basically shifted, well, as most, I think, retailers, unless you were the ones who were benefiting from a pandemic, which there was a small subset of those, but
Yeah.
we weren't necessarily one of those,
No.
is that we very much pulled back into fully digital because we had all of our stores were closed for a couple of months in there, like the April, May, largely and into June. And so we pulled back on our spend and put it all into digital because our website was the only door open for several weeks. So, and I was pushing more digital anyway. I was setting up a bigger social presence. I was setting up the influencers. We were setting up our online, delivery services for people. So it only made sense strategically. And as we go into this year, we are all digital. All our media is digital. And I would even include email marketing in there because it's all done digitally, but it's a full on digital presence, and not because we expect everybody to come through the digital door in terms of the partycity.com, but because all of our customer journey work has shown us that at some point in time your celebration journey is impacted online, whether it's because you see something because of a social platform that you're on, that you see something that gives you the inspiration, or because you received an email, or you got a text, like, so you're kind of living in a digital ecosystem. So we've really tried to hone ourselves into that space to be better and better.
Well, that perfectly dovetails into what I was going to talk about next. And I think it's somewhat of your specialty from what I've read about you. How valuable has research and data been for you and your teams? And what does that process look like for you guys internally?
Yeah. What is who said it? It's this quote for God, it's something, it's like all others bring data. It's the oh, it'll come to me. It's a great quote. It's a great quote. And so I should have had it like in my head, but you just prompted me with this question.
Is it like God is in the details, something's in the data or something?
No, it's like, I'm going to find it and I'm going to tell you
better
before we're done here. Okay.
Please,
so,
please.
but yes, look, at the end of the day, my undergraduate degree is in engineering.
Okay.
And then I have an MBA from University of Chicago. And all of this is, while I'm very proud of these really prestigious schools I went to, they're super quanti schools, that is what they are. And so from the very big beginning, I have been very data loving. So, I was probably one of, I don't know, I was one of the only, handful of people that graduated from business school at Chicago with a marketing degree. But I always said that my marketing degree was much more data and fiscally oriented than anybody else's, because that's what that is what we did. Like that was who we were it was a very quantitative driven experience. And so from the very early days, I started, all of my, I started all of my work basically with a data perspective. So that was what was important to me. And that served me well. I mean, like even in my early days, at Ford and then at Chrysler, it was always data driven. And I found that actually working in very engineering and manufacturing driven industries, male dominated, all of them, where, if I was going to succeed, and this is both sort of a kind of a woman thing, as well as being in the kind of industries I was in thing, is you had to be better prepared and you had to be more factual, which I was good with because I was sort of trained that way, than maybe your male counterparts. And so I very much leaned into that and have always been like, let the data tell us and let the data lead us. And it worked well in my discipline, because while I graduated from business school in the mid 90s, when, the internet was just coming of age, it served me well as we became, a digitally driven industry, the marketing industry, that is, and it served me well. And so I have continued to embrace that. And what's also fun about being data and insight driven is that I love learning, and it's constant learning evolution, constantly learning something new, just tools, but also insights, and just And it's also amazing when what the data will tell you and you're like, oh, wow, if we, like, you just did
Mhm,
that and the results are immediate. I mean, I'm an immediate gratification person too, which is why I don't love to shop. I love to
mhm,
buy. I'm that kind of
mhm,
person. But that immediate gratification sort of thing in me is
mhm.
super satisfied by
Yeah.
being a data and insight driven company, because now with all the digital data coming at you
Mhm,
instantly, you get that and you can
mhm,
pivot on the dime. And so we've just built an organization that is doing that. Now we've got a long way to go because we're putting in a lot of that infrastructure and those tools, but we all are very data loving. It's sort of one of the things that we're putting into our DNA.
mhm. And is there any particular methodologies or data that you brought into the company that you said we've got to pivot here a little bit and do this?
Well, I mean, look, we had a ton of so we had a ton of research and insight work to be done. Actually, that came through the journey mapping
Mhm,
exercise and process. That data driven process was the first thing that I brought to bear, which was
mhm,
like, I before we get going, we have to do a journey mapping exercise of our customer straight up. And
mhm,
that is something that not a lot of companies do. I mean, I think more and more do now, but
mhm,
a lot of companies do that emotional one that we we went through, not the
mhm,
quantitative one. And there are not as many CX experts out there as you might think. And
mhm,
as much as like this is not my first CX job, I still
mhm,
brought in an expert in it, a foremost expert in the CX platforms, to help us to devise the proper customer journey mapping exercise. And it's
mhm,
the beauty about a customer journey mapping exercise is it's not like you give it to a consultant and they run off and do. It's you bring in a consortium of people from all different parts of the organization that touch the customers in different ways. And
mhm,
it's exercise that's done over multiple days. And
mhm,
then there's a quantitative element that's added into it, and you pulsed against
mhm,
it, or you get a bunch of the raw data, and then you do some of
mhm,
the more qualitative, and you
mhm,
kind of push them together and you present. So
mhm,
it's a great investment of time and money,
mhm,
but because it does more than just guide the organization, it also
mhm,
brings people along because they're part of it. And when you're talking about a transformation, which we are in, it's one of the most powerful tools I think that are out there.
mhm. And do you get a lot of your data from loyalty information?
Um, you know, we we do. And
Mhm,
when you say loyalty information, what
mhm.
um
Loyalty cards.
no, and we don't have
Yeah.
loyalty cards today, which is why I'm
Mhm.
sort of pausing with my answer,
Yeah.
is that we don't at this moment have that
Mhm,
because we are building a better CRM infrastructure at
mhm,
this current stage, where we're trying to get the right level of details. But what we do have and what we're starting to build from is
mhm.
really is really we coin it a golden ticket, if you will.
Okay. I like that. Very
um,
Wonka.
right. And in this golden ticket, it is like all this key information. So you think about where, like, when you go places,
Mhm,
that you shop a lot,
mhm.
like Amazon. Let's pick, everybody shops Amazon. Let's talk about it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? Everybody shops Amazon. So when you think about that, and you can be like, oh, I want to rebuy that thing I bought a year ago. Well, you can go in and you see in your history. You
Mhm,
also know that when you go, they serve you up things that are kind of in line with what you've purchased before, or what kind of seem, like they would fit your profile. So what we are trying to do is a similar kind of thing. And like that's a version of a golden ticket. For us, the golden ticket is your information, yes, but also things like, well, if you shop for somebody's birthday last year, chances are they're going to have a birthday at the same time this year. Okay. So, and if we know that it was your son or daughter and they
mhm,
liked, Paw Patrol, we can come back this year and it's a year older. Maybe there's the next version of that. And we can, again, get in advance and help you by being early on, be like, the birthday's coming up, here's some things that might be of interest, we can help you plan it now. And again, take something off of your plate so that when I talked about evening out that stress all the way across,
hmm
now you're not stressing about, oh my God, the birthday's coming up, I got to figure something out. We're trying to take care of that for you. Let us do the
hmm
thinking and the work for you. You can kind of like answer yes or no. But that golden ticket component is
hmm
really when you're talking about the loyalty and the CRM, that's what
hmm
we're building towards. So then, yes, it can be about
hmm
loyalty to get you to repurchase. It's more about trying to make your experience easier, right? It's
hmm
like like celebrations are a part of us. There's things that happen every year, certain celebrations, and then there's other celebrations. We may figure out that you love casino nights. Okay,
hmm
great. Well, we can capture that in your profile
Yeah.
for you and then serve that up to you and make it easy for you to go back and like, or like a picture that maybe you took of one of your events that you
hmm
loved and you want to remember, like this was a great one and you can repeat
hmm
this. And we can keep that picture and all the stuff
hmm
you bought with it and make that. So that's kind of the way that we're going. So it's a slightly different take
Gotcha.
than what I would consider the traditional loyalty.
hmm Okay. Well, when you mentioned serving it up to me, it actually was a great segue into talking about the social and digital presence of Party City. And obviously, you're here with influential, so we have to ask: is influencer a part of your strategy, and what are your thoughts on it?
Oh my God, it's a huge part of our strategy.
Uh-huh.
Influencers are mad. We brought them in last year, so we didn't have an influencer strategy until last
Okay.
year.
Yep.
And we brought them in and they made a huge difference. Like we called them the Joy Squad.
Love
And
it.
we brought them in and
hmm
they helped to devise like some of these solutions. So again, more than helping to market the stuff that we sell, right?
hmm
We encourage them to solve problems. Oh, summer camp is closed. Oh, how do we do a play date in a pandemic? Oh, like how do I do a virtual birthday party? What games do we play?
hmm
A virtual birthday party. This is what we encourage them to do. And so that was the role they played. This year we've upped it and now it's not just because it was largely moms last year. And
hmm
so this year we've upped it and it's not just moms, it's also like I would call it younger singles.
hmm
Doing because like TikTok, there are always these great new crazes. Like there was these
Yeah,
wigs
the
were a big
best.
thing forever.
Uh,
So we're trying to use influencers to lean in there so that we can help to
mhm.
set trends, but also quickly react to a trend. And then we've got celebrities. So for New Year's Eve, we did the FU 2020 campaign, which is
Mhm.
Forget You 2020. And we had the balloons and all the cool stuff to go along with it. It was a huge hit. And we
Mhm.
got a bunch of celebrities to help us with that. And so one was CeeLo Green. I
Oh,
won't do any
fun.
karaoke for you, but she
Yeah. F
forget
you.
you. So we had him do that and he did it, which was great, with the
Yeah.
so yeah. So that
Would
was
he do that on social?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
TikTok,
Very cool.
Insta, all of it. Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
How fun
Yeah.
is that? I love it.
Yes. Yes. So
All right. Well,
it was good.
I was gonna say we're running out of time. A question I always have to ask before we turn. We'll probably get like one question in from the audience, but what I want to ask you is, what are you personally looking forward to the most in the upcoming year? Actually, both personally and professionally.
What am I looking forward to most?
Yeah.
You know, I I'm just so I'm just so excited that things are coming back. Like I get my second shot, by the way, Monday. So
Right
I'm
on.
super close.
Mhm.
And I like for my best friend who happens to be CEO of a different public company. She and I are
Mhm.
like I've seen her once, but it's like none of us really wanted to travel again. You have to set the right tone, and we can't tell our people not to travel if we're going to be traveling. So we're
Yeah.
getting together for a week vacation. We're probably going to work
Awesome.
during it, but we're going to go sit by on a cabana and I'm
Yeah.
so
Where are you
looking.
going?
We're going to go to Amelia Island, which is kind of
Oh,
fun.
fun.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be
Awesome.
great. So, but we're excited about just that, like the idea of being able to travel with a friend and like feel like you can without being looked at side eyes, and that you can. And we'll both have had our second shots, and like there's something where it's like a rebirth. So from a personal standpoint, that's it. I'm excited that I've got two boys and that they're both going to have an internship, and that there's a chance that they're at least hybrid and not fully remote, that there's going to be some in
Mhm.
office and some and that they're going to be able to go and travel some as well again this summer. And I'm excited for the business in that I really do think it's pent up party. I do think it's the roaring 20s, and I'm excited for how we can help to serve, the customer,
Yeah.
and making that easy and as fun and reasonable. I mean, part of what we do is, you shouldn't have to break the bank to like have an extraordinary celebration. And
Yeah.
so, we want to be able to help people do that too. Hey, and do you want the quote? It's Edward Deming, by the way.
Yes.
And it's Edward Deming.
Did you manage to do that while you were talking this whole time?
Dude, of course. In God we
Amazing.
trust, all others bring data.
That is excellent. I love
Edward
it.
Denning. Edward Denning. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because after these sessions, they always deliver us this little block that's like a quote that you said. And so it'll be that quote, but then like sub-quoted for Edward Deming. So
Edward
that's
Deming.
perfect.
Yeah.
Also, are you guys making any plans to come back to office work, or what is the corporate stance on that?
We are. We're looking at the fall right now. Because I think, what we're trying to gauge, and by the way, it's going to be different because I think like most companies are going to find that we don't have to have everybody in the office all the time, that there's a group of people depending on your job where hybrid makes sense. And so we're working through that kind of thing, but the fall seems like the right time. It gives people a chance for those who are going to get vaccinated to be fully vaccinated. It allows, the summer is still a little question marky in terms of like, is there any issue, like the J&J thing? Is there gonna be any weird issue? Is there gonna be a spike? Are things gonna close? What happens if like summer camps, and can we really ask people to come back to work if the kids and they can't have daycare? So for us, the fall felt like the right time. And again, we always reserve the right to reassess, and we're gonna do what's right for our people first and foremost, straight up.
Yeah, I think as a society, we just have to become malleable. I mean, interestingly enough, I am, as you can probably tell, at the influential headquarters here in Beverly Hills. This is sadly the last time I will ever do this from here because we've just decided that it makes more sense to work from home for now. I don't believe that that's going to be an end result and that we'll work from home forever. But if you can cut some big overhead expenses, like an expensive Beverly Hills office in the meantime, and then you find that your team works really seamlessly, and you find that you give people hours back of their day, especially, what it's like getting ready for work, commuting, going back, that whole thing. That's a 3 or 4 hour representation to a lot of people. And you take that out of the equation and people can just jump out of bed and go right for it. So I'm a big fan of that. And if we're looking at silver linings for what happened this year, I would say that that's probably the greatest silver lining.
I agree. I think that balance is been, kind of identified for companies that were a little bit more skeptical. And again, I don't think it's a total flip flop. I think the right answer is somewhere in between. Yeah. And it's a partial time, or it's some people some of the time. And I, look, there's value. We all miss being with each other. I mean, we've had a couple of quick offsites, but there's nothing, you get recharged by being together. So, I think it'd be a mistake for us to be fully like this all the time. There's some
I agree.
Get back together periodically, at least.
Yeah, nothing like the mind hive when you're in person and, clicking on all cylinders, right?
That's right. That's true.
Awesome. Well, I was put in this spot at the very last minute, but I'm very thankful to my brother's busy work schedule because you are so much fun to talk to. I should expect nothing less from the CMO of Party City. So thank you so much, Julie. Really, really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope we can keep in touch and keep the ball moving.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Julie. Well, usually I would have somebody coming on to transition, but that's me. So I'm going to make the transition myself. Thanks, Julie. So we are down to our last session of the day. It is my session, so I get to do a back-to-back here. I could not be more excited to bring on my new favorite person, Shahar Scott, who I'll let everybody know this from the jump. She is the first person that I've ever interviewed who was like, hey, let's get together, let's have some drinks or whatever.